Okay, we're going to look at this problem here where question 1, you have been asked to machine some shafts in the drawing below. Okay, so it's this drawing here. This is the shaft. The dimensions are given in millimeters. The shafts are to be machined from 32 millimeter bright mild steel bars, and they are available in 2 meter lengths. Okay, so the first question is, with the given measurement in the diagram, calculate the total length of the shaft. Okay, so the shaft begins at this end and it ends at this end, and we're given measurements for each section of the shaft. Okay, so we've got 4 sections starting here. So if we add the length for this section, which is 75, the length for this section, which is 25, plus 330 plus 32 millimeters, that gives us a linear measurement, and it's for length. So we add those numbers together and it comes to 462 millimeters. Okay, the next question is, how many shafts can be machined from the available 2 meter bar? Okay, now we know that one shaft is 462 millimeters, and we're starting with a 2 meter bar. So how many lots of 462 millimeters fits into 2 meters? Now, to do this problem, we have to be able to convert these units so that they are the same. Millimeters and meters are different units. Okay, this means 1,000th of a meter. So let's just look at our place value chart. Okay, this is looking at place value. So, if we look at normal, the metric system and the decimal system, which is the system which we use for numbers, is based on the number 10. Okay, and we have a decimal place which separates whole numbers from part numbers. Okay, the digits to this side of the decimal place are smaller than 1. Digits to this side of the decimal place are greater than 1 or greater. Okay, now we're trying to convert millimeters to meters. Now the meter is a base unit, so it's found in the ones column. Okay, this is where we find meters. If I put it up there, okay, because it's a base unit, it falls here. Millimeter, a milli is 1,000th of 1. So millimeters are going to be down here. This means milli. Now, how does this work? What this means is each column is 10 times smaller if we move to the right. Okay, going this way, it gets 10 times smaller each time. Okay, so 10 times smaller that way, and if we're moving in the opposite direction, each column means it's getting 10 times bigger. Okay, so the difference between 1 and 1,000th of 1, okay, is 1,000 units. So if we consider we've got 1 millimeter here, then the decimal place would be here, wouldn't it? That's 1 millimeter. But if we have 1 meter, what is that in millimeters? Okay, we fill in the gaps with zeros. Here's the decimal place for a millimeter. That's gone now. So we know we've got 1,000 millimeters in 1 meter. Right. Okay, so let's go back to this problem. Now, we've been told we've got a 2 meter long metal rod to make our shafts out of, and we have to convert 2 meters into millimeters. We've just established that there are 1,000 millimeters in 1 meter, so there's going to be 2,000 millimeters in 2 meters. Okay, so from now on we're going to refer to this bar as a 2,000 millimeter bar. Okay, we won't worry about meters for a while. Okay, so now everything's fitting. We know, now which question are we up to? Okay. How many shafts can there be machined from the available 2 meter bar? Now we've just worked out that one shaft is 462 millimeters long. Okay, that was from adding all the sections of the shaft together, and we came up with a value of 462 meters. So, one 2,000 millimeter bar is going to fit how many of these 462 millimeter shafts? Okay. So the easiest way to work that out, I've done it earlier, but to get a piece of paper, and we want to divide 2,000 by 462, and that will tell us how many will fit into the 2 meter shaft, or 2 meter rod. Okay, so we'll use our calculator. 2,000 divided by 462. Okay, it's 4.3. So we can get 4 whole shafts and 0.3 is left over. So we know we've got 4 shafts that we can fit there. And this is what I've drawn over here. Okay, this is our shaft and it's 462 millimeters. We know we can fit 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's 0.3 waste. Okay, this is 0.3 waste here. Okay, now we want to know exactly how much of the 2,000 millimeters is used in the making of the shafts. So we multiply 4 by the length of each shaft, and this is the total value that we get for the 4 shafts. Okay, so how much is this waste material here? We started with 2,000 millimeters. We want to subtract the amount of material being used to make the shafts, and we'll be left with a value for the waste. Okay, so this is 152 millimeters, and that's wastage on the end. So I think I've just answered the second question. Right, we've worked out we can make 4 shafts out of 2 meters or 2,000 millimeters. Okay, everything's in millimeters. Whoops, too many M's. Cancel them and we're left with the number 4. We've worked out that 4 shafts use 1,848 millimeters. Okay, now if we take our total 2,000 millimeters, subtract the total amount of material being used for the shafts, we're left with what will be waste, 152 millimeters. Right, now the next question, if you were asked to make 30 shafts, how many of those 2 meter bars would you require? Okay, so let's draw this problem out we know that a 2 metre bar will make 4 shafts, and we've been asked to make 30 shafts. So I've just drawn one 2 metre bar here, divided it into 4, okay, and this is our little section of waste at the end here. Okay, so if this makes 4, then 2 bars will make 8, 3 bars will make 12, 4 bars, so 4 times 4 will make 16, 5 times 4 will make 20, 6 fours, 24 bars, 7 fours, that's 28 bars. We're almost there, aren't we? 7 of these, so 7 times 4 is 28, and we've got 2 more to make, so we need one more bar, one more whole bar, to make the last 2 shafts. So there's going to be more wastage on the last bar. Okay, so we need a total of 8 bars to make 30 shafts. Yep. Okay. What is the total amount of scrap metal that is left over? Okay, how much scrap metal? Now we know we've got a little bit of scrap metal on the end of every one of these bars. We know it's 152 millimeters. So we've got 7 lots of 152 millimeters. And then on this bar, we need to work out how much of this is waste material. We've got 2 bars that take up each 462 millimeters. Okay, that's looking back up here. 2 of these bars, they add to 924 millimeters. Okay, so that's 924 millimeters here. How long is this bit here? To find this value, we have to take our total length of the bar, which is 2000 millimeters, subtract what we'll be using to make the shaft, and we'll be left with the amount of wastage on this bar here. Okay, so 2000 minus 924 is 1076 millimeters. Okay, now that's the amount of wastage just in this piece here. If we add that to each of these bits of wastage, the 7 little pieces on the ends of each bar add together to make 1064 millimeters. So if we add that to the 1076 millimeters, our total amount of wastage adds up to 2140 millimeters.